Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Normally, we have Skype lines available for you, too, but we're actually using that for a special guest. My name's Mark.
And I'm Cantwell.
Free Talk Live, you can give us a call at 855-450-FREE. Every once in a while, you hear some news that makes you just sort of stop what you're doing. And in my case, I was writing. I had a pen in my hand. I put the pen down, and as I said what I wanted to find out more, Ian wouldn't tell me because he wanted to do it on the air, what really sort of what the more was. But
then I pulled a gun on somebody and we got distracted.
Yeah, there was some distracting stuff on the show last night. But I'm going to find out now because we have Jeff Berwick on. He's Jeff Berwick from the Dollar Vigilante. Jeff, you're well known in the freedom circles as a bit of a maverick. Somebody who, you know, you're a Canadian citizen, you've moved down to Acapulco, and you're, you know, trying to surround yourself with liberty-oriented folks down there. And you're running for office in Canada?
Yeah, it was quite the showstopper. I knew it was definitely going to shake a few people up after 5 years of being very vocal and very public about being very anti-government. I announced yesterday that I'm running for the Libertarian Party of Canada in the upcoming federal election in Canada. So it shocked a lot of people, but the reasons I'm doing it are all the same reasons that I've been doing for the last 5 years, is just trying to get people to wake up to libertarianism, to liberty, to freedom. And that's very rare up in Canada as it is in the US. And so just looking at Ron Paul and how he affected how many people are aware of libertarianism and are actually really into it now was enough almost to make me decide to try to do this angle, to get involved in the really dirty, seedy political system. And just see what happens. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens.
So the first thing that comes to my mind, Jeff, is the last time we spoke to you on Free Talk Live, we were talking about Acapulco. We were talking about, I was entertaining moving down there, and now I'm assuming that there's some sort of residency requirement to hold political power in Canada?
Yeah, that's right. I had to look into it. I am a Canadian citizen still, so I can run under that. But you have to also be a resident. And this was a very tough decision for me to make personally, because I've been a non-resident of Canada for about 10 years now, which means I don't have to pay any income tax in Canada. And because of where I am a resident of, I don't have to pay any income tax there. So I've had a very enjoyable life of not having to pay income tax for the last 10 years. But to run as a candidate, you have to be resident. And so I'm thinking of just saying I'm a resident of the month of the election, and if I don't get elected, then I'll immediately revert back to non-resident, so I don't have to get involved in that tax system up there. And if I do win, which is possible, but I don't know how likely it is, I've never done anything like this before. If I do... Yeah, it's sort of a scary sort of thought to me if I do win. If I do win, I'll have to just figure out what I want to do from there, because there'll be a lot involved in terms of my own personal life. If I have to even still remain a resident, I don't even know if that's the case, but I'm not even thinking that far ahead. The election's in October, and I'm just going to spread the message of liberty across Canada as much as possible until then.
Basically do it from Acapulco. I'm looking at your video feed right now, and I can see over your right shoulder the beautiful Acapulco Bay, the sun, you know, shining down. It looks wonderful.
Yeah, and it is wonderful, and it's not just the weather. It's a lot more free down here, and that's why I have left Canada and live mostly in Mexico for a number of years now. And so I'm posing this as a little bit of Canada's boy coming back home to try to free the people who he left because it was so unfree he couldn't handle it. And that's sort of what my stance is if people ask me during this campaign, why don't you even live in Canada? I'll be like, well, it's horrible here. The government is oppressive and just involved in every aspect of your life. But I'm going to try to come back and try to see if I can help you guys de-slave yourselves somewhat via this system. So that's sort of the general take I have on it right now. I'm definitely going to have to go up to Canada a couple times in the next few months. So we're even planning a cross-Canada Liberty tour, bus or train tour with people like Walter Block and Tim Moen, the Libertarian Party of Canada leader. We're hoping to get people like Wendy McElroy involved and Dan Dix and a number of other well-known libertarians in Canada.
Well, that's the time to be in Canada, I'll tell you. In the summer, it's beautiful. What convinced you? I mean, was it somebody who got a hold of you and, Jeff, we need you to run for? And what are you running for anyway?
It's called the Member of Parliament, or MP. It's essentially the same as a congressman, from what I can tell. There's about 300 of them. There's over 300.
So that's a much higher level of representation for Canadian citizens. There are 435 drunken sailors in the U.S. House of Representatives, and that's for a population that's 10 times as large. I guess you have 300 MPs. How many? Is it bicameral, or is there just one lawmaking?
I have no idea how any of it works. I've never looked into it. I don't care. But of course, I'm going to have to look into it now. But I've never, ever cared what they did. I've always seen it as being evil. I still do see it as being evil. But yeah, I'm going to have to look into how all this stuff works. 'Cause I didn't really go to school in Canada either. I didn't like the public government indoctrination camps, so I just stayed home. So I didn't get all this information drilled into my head.
Yeah, I can just see the campaign slogan now. It's like, I don't know how this thing works, but it's not working well.
I put a thing on my Facebook. I put a thing on my Facebook page just asking for people to make up some funny memes, and someone did one. I think it said something like, "Vote for Jeff. He'll do nothing and he'll leave you alone." I thought that was a pretty good one.
That is a pretty good one. Are you going to release your birth certificate, sir?
Yeah, if I can find it. I think you can tell by my accent and all the photos of me at 4 years old playing hockey in the Siberia of Canada that I'm probably from there. And I'm definitely not from Kenya, though. I'll say that much.
I don't know what you're talking about. So what did somebody get a hold of you and get you to do this? What made you do it?
It was a number of things. It actually happened live on air on my podcast on Anarchast, which is on the Liberty Radio Network, that I was talking to Walter Block, and he convinced me that all of us libertarians should run for government. So right then it got me thinking. And then I had a good friend of yours, Daryl Perry, on about how he's running for president in the U.S. And he, for an hour, really eloquently said all the reasons why this makes total sense for us to do. And there's really no negative reasons not to do it. So it was after that I was pretty convinced. And I've already known the Libertarian Party of Canada quite well. I've had the current leader on Anarchast before. He's an anarcho-capitalist, Tim Moan. The prior leader was Katie Chown. She's also an anarcho-capitalist. And even the person who formed the Libertarian Party of Canada in the 60s is Sig Pere. He's anarcho-capitalist, and he was even down here at Anarchapulco. So in a way, it's almost the anarcho-capitalist Party of Canada.
I met Sig. Will you explain to our audience, now this is Free Talk Live's on dozens of radio stations tonight all across the United States. Many of them are on, just your average FCC licensed radio stations out there. They probably don't know what this term anarcho-capitalist is and what it means to you.
Yeah, I use that word sometimes instead of anarchist because some people think anarchist isn't what it means either. Here's my definitions very briefly. Anarchist, to me, I just look at the roots of the word. An is without, archist is ruler. So it means you don't want to be ruled by anybody. I don't know why some people want to be violently ruled by someone else, but I don't want to be, so that's why I'm an anarchist. I use the term anarcho-capitalist because sometimes people equate anarchy with communism because there's a fair amount of people who call themselves anarcho-communists, and those are the people that you see in hoodies and balaclavas in riots, breaking windows and lighting things on fire. So I don't want people to think that's what I'm about either, and I'm definitely not about that. And I actually don't think they're really anarchists. I think they're just communists. So I use that term. These words, anarchist, to me, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, libertarian, they're all interchangeable words because to me, libertarian means your number one principle is freedom and liberty. And of course, an anarchist, that is exactly your number one principle.
Hey, I heard a rumor that you can cure anarcho-communism by having a large shoe collection. Is that true?
I don't know about that.
That's a reference to Anarchast. You'll just have to go watch the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Where can folks find Anarchast?
Oh, I actually forgot about that episode. Yeah, now I get the joke. No one got the joke, even me, and I host the show. So, yeah, you can find that on YouTube, Anarchast. Just look it up, or anarchast.com, or on the Liberty Radio Network.
There you go. Find him at find Jeff Berwick at anarchast.com. Jeff, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Peace.